Hi guys, it's Connie here from Say It With Simplicity, and today I'm in Silhouette Studio and I'm going to be talking with you about creating vinyl stencils for wood signs using your Silhouette Studio. Now this photo has a sign that I created using my Silhouette Cameo for my vinyl stencil, and you can kind of see that I have some wood pieces over here. Later, I stained those to frame it. And while this isn't a very good picture, the reason I chose it is because this is the SVG that I'm going to be showing you how to make your stencil with. Now, if you're a Pinterest user, you've no doubt run across pins for wood signs. They're very popular and they're a great way to add some beauty, some charm to your home. There's text ones. You can even do, just a simple design, maybe you like birds, or so you do a bird stencil, or, whatever you happen to like. And I love looking at these products in stores and specialty shops, but they can get really expensive. This particular sign that I did, I sold it at the market for $30, and it was probably a good price for our area, but in other places it could go for a lot more. So if you own a cutting machine, you can create your own signs quickly and easily using vinyl stencils, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Once you get started about this, you're not going to want to stop. Maybe you'll make these stencils for gifts, maybe you'll go to a market like I do, but we're going to talk a little bit about the vinyl that I use for stencils, and then we're going to get into how to set this up in your Silhouette Studio. Now, there's lots of choices out there when it comes to adhesive vinyl. These are just a few of the choices that I've seen in the past few years that people use. Oracle 631, Oracle 651, Oracle Oramask 813, Cricut stencil vinyl, contact paper, the Cricut vinyl that's not permanent is still pretty much like 631. And all of these are just different vinyls that I've seen people who are creating tutorials for signs, what they're using. And my personal favorite, and I guess the one that I use the most consistently, is the Oracle 631. And I guess one of the reasons that I like this vinyl so much is that it's a water-based adhesive. It is easily removable from your sign. I haven't had any problems with sticky residue being left behind. I haven't pulled up any paint. I get very few bleeds with this vinyl if I use it properly, and it's relatively inexpensive. I have used some of the other products. I've used the Cricut stencil vinyl, and I've used that really successfully on some of my really small stuff that I do. And I've actually used contact paper as well, and I'm going to show you a picture of a sign here that I did with contact paper. And that's not the one. And so this pumpkin patch sign was just something that I threw together really quickly for a harvest festival trunk or treat. And this was just a couple, pieces of scraps of pallet wood that we had in the garage. And I mean, I put this sign together. I didn't even hardly wait for this orange to dry before I used the stencil on it here. And, it turned out great. And this was the regular clear contact paper, the brand contact, and it worked out well. The thing is I don't find that contact paper, actual contact paper brand I haven't tried any of like the Walmart shelf liner sort of stuff. This was just a sort of experiment and something inexpensive for me to use for something that I was only going to be using temporarily. And because this was such a rustic thing anyway, it was the perfect product for this sign. But that was just, one time out of a few that I've used contact paper for stencils. Otherwise, I pretty much stick to, like I said, the Oracle 631. So let's pop back here into Silhouette Studio. And let's talk about how we're going to create our vinyl stencil in Silhouette Studio. So to create your vinyl stencil, you're going to start by opening the design you want to use. The Silhouette Design Store has many wonderful designs. I actually have a video there that I can link in the description box below on how to use or purchase and use the Silhouette Store designs. If you own the designer edition and above, you can consider using an SVG that you purchase on Etsy or in another online shop. I have my own Etsy shop where I sell SVG files, and I can link that in the description box below as well. I also have a number of free SVG designs on my blog, sayitwithsimplicity.com. Let's go to File, Open, my SVG. And I'm going to use this Awake Yet SVG. So let's go ahead and open that. And now it's open in my Silhouette Studio. Now I had to adjust my microphone a little bit. Hopefully I won't have any problem with it. I apologize in advance if you get a little bit of a muffled sound or something. But I have my SVG open now in my Silhouette Studio, and you can see that this is, roughly 5 by 5. I tend to like to resize my SVGs into a smaller condensed area. I think a lot of the files that I've seen on Cricut, that's probably a similar thing when you open something in Cricut, that it's something that you need to resize. And so I'm going to go here to my page setup panel, and let's make it 12 by 12. And you can see that, it only takes up a little bit of that area. Okay, so the first thing I like to do when I'm setting up my vinyl stencil design is that I like to make a shape, usually a rectangle. I've actually done some like tag shapes or little house shapes or whatever before, but something that represents the wood that I'm using. So say I went out and I purchased I think the sign that I showed you the picture of was, I think, 11 by 11 or something like that. Or if it was, it was probably a 12-inch board, so it was probably about 11.5 by 11.5. So let's just say that we purchased a 10-inch, 10-inch board, and so our rectangle is going to probably be, and the sign size is more realistically going to be 9.5 by 9.5. So I'm going to drop a rectangle in here. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to go to my scale panel, and I'm going to make it 9.5 and 9.5. And let's just go ahead and center that in the center of our mat. And you can do that using this little button up here in the quick access toolbar. So that's just a little bit of an FYI. But now I'm going to grab this SVG and I'm going to resize it to my board. And you want to leave a little bit of white space around the edges. And let's just align this in the center and in the middle. And now I can send this to my send panel. Maybe I don't want to cut like right out in the middle here. I can put it up there. I can send this to my send panel, and you can see that I have the outline and I have my SVG in the middle. And now you can go here and you can select your settings. I'm going to do vinyl matte. And it's not connecting because my silhouette isn't on right now. But while we're here, let's talk a little bit about the test cut. Now, sometimes, I think a lot of the time when I used to use my Silhouette Cameo 2 and I was using the ratchet blade, a lot of times I was using the setting of 3 to cut through my vinyl. One of the things you can do is use your test cut to determine what your settings are going to be for your vinyl here. And I highly recommend doing that because here's the thing. You get a different kind of vinyl, you get a new blade, things can happen differently. So you want to make sure that you don't go wasting a whole bunch of your nice stencil vinyl by not having a good cut when you send it to your machine. And here's another thing you can do is you could set yourself up some sort of a little chart or a little book that would give you the settings for the different products that you're using. So say I've tested out contact paper and I have certain settings that I'm using for that. I could have those written down in my book. Say I have 631 and I have certain settings that I've used for that. I can have that written down as well. And the same with any of the other vinyls that I use. Now, when you do your test cut, you just cut out a couple little triangles on, a corner of your vinyl, and then you can pick it up and see if it comes off easily. You could even decide that maybe you want to make just a simple little decal that maybe you're not even going to use, but something small that's not going to waste a lot of vinyl. And maybe I just got a roll of new 631, but I ordered it from a company that I don't usually order it from, and I want to just make sure that it's okay. I could do that so that I'm not wasting my good vinyl by cutting out this whole huge design. So I hope that makes sense to everyone. I'm going to go back here into my design space, and now a lot of times when I'm creating my SVGs, I create them and group certain things together. So now let's ungroup this, and I have my coffee cup and my text. Those are two separate groups. Now if I go down here to my text, I can ungroup that even further, and I have my script font and my typewriter font here. And if I wanted to, I could go ahead and do this any way that I wanted to. If I wanted to make this smaller, and I could center this all up. So you can take some of those liberties. Now it just depends on the creator and how they grouped their designs, but a lot of times you can ungroup these designs and kind of change them to match what you're doing. And I'm going to give you a really quick example. Here I am. This is a tiered tray decor that I did for my own home. And this is a picture that I posted on Instagram. Now this little heart and home sign down here, for my tiered tray was made from just a piece of 2x4 that I angled off at the top, and I painted it white. But this heart and home design was horizontal all the way, heart and home, all on one line. And when I ungrouped that and I kind of stacked it up, I was able to use it on my little house here in a vertical way because obviously the horizontal way wasn't going to fit. So that's what I mean about kind of, using those designs and taking some of those liberties, see where those groups are and use those designs to make your products with some confidence that you can make them exactly the way that you want them to appear. So let's hop back up here to Silhouette Studio, and I'm going to show you one more thing. And this has a little bit to do with ungrouping as well. I was just writing a blog post about this yesterday, but I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this even further. And let's go up here, ungroup, and now I have the different elements of my text all ungrouped as they can be. And let's go ahead and zoom in on this E. Now sometimes I like to make really small signs, and the last small sign I did was like 3.5 inches by 7.25 inches. And it is a really tricky thing to get out the little middle parts of these E's when you're doing your weeding. But now if I select this and I hit the A on my keyboard, I can go into this point editing mode and I could actually move some of these edit points around. Now this isn't a really smooth one, but I could move these around to make my E a little bit more open here. Now I don't want to do a lot of that because I don't want to change the text style too much. But if you just have that little tiny bit more room and you can open up some of those little middles a little bit, it can make all the difference in the world if you're doing a small sign and you have that little tiny pin dot of a middle that you're working with. And that's just something to take into consideration when you're working on sign projects. And now let's zoom out here. Let's go ahead and group our design again and turn it to black. Oops, and I missed part of the group. But you can kind of see how that would look. I'm going to turn off my grid. I'm just going to hit the G on my keyboard. And there you go. You can kind of see what your sign is going to look like. So that's it for today, guys. I hope that this was helpful for you when you're creating wood signs using your Silhouette Cameo. This is one of my favorite projects to do. I like to make t-shirts and things, but usually I stick to, family members and things for those. But making these wood products are probably at the top of my list. So again, I hope this was helpful for you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I invite you to join me by subscribing to my channel as I continue to post new content for you using your Silhouette Studio. As a creator to other creators, I love sharing these tips and tricks that I've learned with you, and I hope they're helpful for you, whether you have a small business or whether you're just making things for your home and family. Thanks for stopping by today and have a great day. Bye now.